Hey everybody, it's Zap from Road Bike Action, and let me just say, with both hands firmly planted on this new Pinarello F12, as good days go in the office, the magazine, some days are better than others, and this would be one of those days when the Pinarello showed up. It's one of the better days. The F12 is by far, as high-end road bikes go, this is a bike that commands a certain level of respect and admiration on the road. This is the latest Pinarello F12. It comes following the success of the venerable Pinarello F10, which of course is one of the winningest bikes in the last couple of years under Team Sky, now Team Ineos. The F12 though has brought a whole new level of sophistication to road bike design in terms of aero efficiencies, in terms of rigidity, and more than anything else in terms of style. If ever there was a bike that could act as a class project for style and design at Art Center, it would be this bike. Fausto Pinarello, already famous for his crazy designs on bikes, has, I think, outdone himself with this bike. This bike has more shapes, odd shapes to it, and twists and angles than most any bike we've seen. And it builds on Fausto's notion of asymmetrical design, and that's probably no more obvious than when you look at the bike from the rear section down on the seat stays. It almost looks like the frame is deformed, but in fact it's part of the specific design process that Fausto came up with to create his maximum performance for a Tour de France winning bike. So one of the things about the Pinarello is, true to style. And every time we take the bike on a ride, people always say, "How much does it weigh? How much does it weigh?" This Pinarello is not light necessarily. While there are plenty of other bikes on the road with double disc brakes, carbon fiber frames that weigh 15, 16 pounds, Pinarello comes in over 17 pounds, almost 17 and a half pounds. And as much as anyone, in terms of your typical road geek, lightweight fanatic, is going to say, "Oh, it's so heavy," the ride quality of a bike like this, not only because of the weight, but because of the design and the handling, the geometry, it handles great. I mean, at high-speed descents, the thing just sticks to the ground and just lends its overall presence on the road. So some of the key features in this bike that separate it from its predecessors would be this new, they've always done a one-piece bar stem, but now the Talon Ultra Bar, it not only internalizes all the cables, but in terms of the shape and everything, the folks at Pinarello say that it's really increased the bike's aero efficiency. It's pretty stiff, and there's actually, beyond 13 different frame sizes, they actually have 16 different handlebar sizes, which is phenomenal. But in terms of rise, length, width, there's a lot of combinations there to consider. Another aspect that's kind of cool is the fork flap on the dropouts. It looks a little bit odd at first. Scott also has that on one of their aero bikes, but just shows Fausto just thinking about every detail of the bike in terms of trying to increase the bike's aero efficiency. It's also along the same lines. It's got the recessed down tube, so you can put your bottle cage, again, making better aero lines for the wind coming through. So on the seat tube, they actually went so far as to include two different water bottle mounts, a low and a high. On previous bikes we've had with low mounts only, I know some riders have complained about having to reach too far for the bottle when they're riding their bikes. So at least this gives you the opportunity, whether you have long arms or don't want to reach as far, to raise your bottle mount up a little higher so you don't have to reach that much to get your water. The frame itself, the tubes itself have all been increased in size, especially the chain stays. Coming from the bottom bracket, it's got a nice big bottom bracket bundle there where the seat down tube and the seat stays all come together. And of course, it's also got this rear mount seat post to adjust the seat post. They've gotten rid of traditional binder and just use these small little Torx heads in the back. It's kind of something else that Basso's also done in the past. We're not the biggest fans of the world because it takes these little micro-sized Torx heads to make it work. Same with the stem, but it just adds overall to the allure of the bike. It's just the lines are so clean in terms of not having any exposed binder bolts that we have on so many other bikes. Not only the clean aesthetic, but again, for what Fausto's chasing with this bike is the aero aesthetic. So just to dispel any notions out there that seem to persist with Pinarello, the bike is about as Italian as it gets, except for its manufacturer. The bike is made in China, but finished at the factory in Treviso, Italy. Pinarello claims that the frame, unpainted frame, weighs 840 grams, and when it comes to prices and more numbers, you can get the frame and fork and seat post for $6,500. The Dura-Ace bike, that's Shimano Dura-Ace Di2 drivetrain, cost $12,000. And the top of the line bike, which is the bike you see here with the SRAM Access Red Group, the zip wheels, everything, the full kit and caboodle, $13,500, my friends. So yes, it's about as much as a finely tuned street motorcycle, but this is even better than that. So as soon as we're done talking about this bike right now, we're gonna go get kitted up and go on a lunch ride with the boys from Road Bike Action. And beyond that, if you want to know more about this bike or other videos we have, make sure to subscribe to Road Bike Action's YouTube page, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks for checking in.